Hi, good morning, and welcome to the ZP Vlog and Podcast. So we like to do this once a week, and it's really just a wrap up from the news from ZP for this week. So a technology that we've had for quite a while is total antioxidative or antioxidant capacity TAC. So TAC is, you do see all these kind of, foods and beverages and sort of, I want to say nutraceuticals where people say, oh yeah, it's high in antioxidants. But I really don't know how often that actually is measured. Whether you are high in antioxidants, can depend on the ingredients, the conditions in which some of those food ingredients were grown, the processing of that material, the storage conditions of that material. So this kind of blanket, high in antioxidants is probably based on some historical literature, which is not really, there may be one or two papers on it, but it's not really that vigorous, let's say, in the testing. So at ZP, we do actually have um, ironically, oxidation reduction is kind of the heart of electrochemistry. So we're probably one of the best firms set up for actually measuring the total antioxidants in a particular product. And so we do have a sensor. It is part of the FoodSense technology stack, and it can measure the total antioxidant capacity. So I'm super interested in engaging with people about that because, got to put some science behind some of these kind of claims. And there's also another interesting feature that, the total antioxidant capacity could be an indicator of shelf life as well. Shelf life in the end is a sort of an oxidation or a degradation of materials. And so if you're high in antioxidants, then you can argue that you actually have a higher shelf life. But that is something that we're definitely interested in working on at ZP. Something, so it sounds like it's unrelated to total antioxidants capacity, but something we're pretty good at ZP is making measurements and sending data to the cloud. And one of the videos that we put out there this week was actually talking about converting electrochemical data to comma separated variables. So you've got all these people in the world who make, for example, potentiostats, and they have these proprietary file formats, and it's really hard for people to convert the data into formats that allow them to sort of use Python or use other programming software. So as ZP, we do actually have a quite an elegant way of turning electrochemical data into CSV, comma separated variables, by using our Julie or feature in our Julie cloud. And we did do a video about that this week as well. I did also, we do a webinar every Wednesday, really talking about the FoodSense. So FoodSense, it's got three main analytes at the moment. We can measure the capsaicin, which is the molecule responsible for the hotness of chilies. And we can measure gingerol, which is the molecule which will give you the pungency of ginger. And we also can do TAC, total antioxidative capacity, as well. And we did do a video this week talking about the raw signal coming off some of these chili sensors. And so that was something that we definitely covered this week in our weekly webinar. Some other news that came out from ZP this week as well was we were talking about wearables quite a lot. I mean, wearables has really come up quite a bit over the last few days. So we talked about wearable cortisol, ketone, lactate, glucose. At ZP, we have something like 40 analytes on the website, and we have experience in implantable cortisol sensors, wearable ketone sensors, wearable lactate sensors, implanted and wearable glucose sensors. So we do have a lot of experience in that, and we do talk about it in our webinars, and people do ask a lot of questions. It's interesting, you have a lot of questions, but I think people have to understand that wearables is not a technology that you kind of dip into. You have to be quite well funded, and it's probably best done through companies because it's a multi-year program, and unless you're kind of adopting, I don't know, one of these kind of wearable technologies from ZP. This is a wearable microneedle watch. It can take a long time. So in the same vein, we were also talking about wearable potassium sensors as well. People are very interested in doing continuous potassium measurement, and we did talk about that as well. One of the potentiostats that's actually on the market, again, wearables, all our wearable technology all leads to the Julie cloud. The Julie cloud has been like 10 years in development. It's a really matured piece of technology, and it has features in it. Like one of the most used potentiostats in the biosensor space is the PalmSense. ZP has its own potentiostat, so we don't support PalmSense, but just ironically, the Julie database can actually convert the PalmSense, what they call P session files, into CSV. So that is You can upload P-Session files, otherwise gathered on PS-Trace from PalmSense, and then you can just download them from the database, because the database uploads them, recognizes what it is, converts it, and then you can download it as a CSV. So that's just to say that that is a feature of Julie as well. As I say, I mean, we do get a lot of questions in, you know, we have been answering questions about wearable cortisol, wearable lactate, wearable glucose, wearable ketones, wearable potassium. I mean, ironically, we even did a webinar this morning where we actually started covering then wearable pH. So, you know, wearables is, you know, I'm happy that wearables is a thing at the moment. ZP does actually have all these biosensors. I think it comes down to, in the end, that there's two ways of engaging with ZP. It's kind of engage with us in a formal manner, you know, treat us as a consultancy or as a contractor or as a paid partner, or actually you can also just go on the website and start buying technologies, you know, like sensors, like microfluidic kits, like what the single purpose biosensor circuit, like test solutions, and just essentially doing it yourself, and, you know, getting yourself to some sort of proof of principle, let's say, using your own labor and essentially your own costs. But you can get that kind of technology from ZP through the web store. And so at ZP, you know, there's kind of two tiers, you know, do it yourself, but here's some components, or, you know, be more deeply funded, and, you know, ZP can then, you know, also be formally sort of part of the team. But we did talk about that this morning. I did mention FoodSense quite a few times today, and I did mention that, you know, measuring the pungency of ginger is one of the things that we can do. And so we do have a webinar on the oh my goodness, I think it's something like the 28th of February on FoodSense, and we are going to do a definite demonstration of measuring the pungency of some ginger shots in that webinar. It's interesting because we did the pungency this week. We were doing it, and we noticed that the ginger shot we were dealing with was quite brown, and actually it scored relatively low. And I know why. It's because actually it's oxidizing, which is ironic, because in that workshop, in that webinar as well, we're also going to talk about measuring the total antioxidative capacity. So if ginger oil is oxidizing, its total antioxidative capacity is also going down, and we can also measure that on the FoodSense as well. So the FoodSense is this kind of multi-analyte platform, you know, able to do at least 3 assays, and we're always interested in hearing what else people want to do for it. I mean, at ZP, you know, we're known for electrochemical biosensors, and we do have a lot of materials on the website. And one of the materials that we have is actually this silver chloride wire, which I think is quite a unique wire, if I can put it that way. And actually people are using it as a reference electrode in batteries. So if people are interested in putting electrodes into batteries, I know it sounds completely off topic because we most of the time we're talking about FoodSense and SenseIt-All and electrochemical biosensors. And we really don't touch on the power very much, but, you know, power application of electrochemistry is a big thing, let's say. And at ZP, we're actually knowledgeable on it. I'm sure if some of you are entrepreneurs, you just find that with your business, you tend to kind of go in a direction, and, you know, you get pulled there a little bit. It's interesting because there was an article I just saw a quick thing this morning by Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos said, you know, you've always got to have a plan, but the details are sort of changeable. So we always had a plan that we would be this kind of sensor for internet company, but that didn't mean that we wouldn't necessarily be the sensors for the energy industry. We just have happened to go towards the kind of chemical and biological direction, but doesn't mean that you don't understand other technologies as well. And I think at ZP we're quite eclectic in our understanding of, let's say, various things. Something that's quite close to our heart actually at ZP is, you know, we have these technology stacks. You can call it the SenseIt-All, or you can call it the FoodSense. It's this hardware. But we are going to do a demonstration in one of our webinars about actually measuring nitrate. So, you know, it's an environmental problem, you know, especially in rivers and coastal waters and lakes and ponds, you know, is nitrate runoff. So we are going to talk about doing nitrate monitoring on the smartphone in one of our webinars as well. As I've already described, along with those webinars as well, we're also going to talk about measuring the pungency of ginger shots. Something that we're starting to talk about a little bit more as well is that we do have this pretty cool technology, SenseIt-All. And so we did do a video this week actually showing you that if you use Sense It All in your technology stack, it's really already boxed up. The sensors, the meter exists, the manuals already exist, so everything's kind of in place for doing that. And at the same time, we also did an unboxing of the FoodSense Generation 4. You'll find a remarkable similarity between the FoodSense Generation 4 and Sense It All. But this is actually a good thing because it means that ZP is constantly manufacturing this hardware, constantly boxing it, constantly doing the logistics. For something to be live and current, and you have to be doing it all of the time. And so there's a life to Sense It All because it comes through the fact that we also use it as our FoodSense technology product. So I think just lastly, I've said a lot in a very short amount of time, but I just want to say that we do have these webinars every Thursday and sometimes on Sundays as well. And these are technical webinars where we answer technical questions that come in from the week. So if you have any technical questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us because you'll find that the next webinar is on the 15th of February. I said to somebody the other day, we'll answer it in the webinar. I said, what, I have to wait 4 days? I was like, wow, sometimes when you contact companies, you may never hear from them. So hopefully we're a bit more responsive than that. So anyway, there's a webinar on the 15th of February. And if you've got any technical questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Otherwise, have a good week. Thanks very much.